So I want to talk about the best prednisone alternative. There's quite a few people taking prednisone, and the problem is when you take too much of it, it creates too many side effects to the point sometimes where you can't take it at all anymore because it doesn't work anymore. Over 23 million prescriptions are given out every single year in the US alone. So what is prednisone? Prednisone is a synthetic version of our own adrenal hormone called cortisol. It's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. And it's mainly given to people who have asthma, allergies, all sorts of skin issues, from psoriasis, dermatitis, poison ivy, pretty much every inflammatory condition of the skin, they would give a person prednisone. And inflammation, and I'm talking about arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, tendonitis, bursitis, any of the itises, because prednisone works on inflammation. Autoimmune conditions. Prednisone is one of the main medications they give for lupus, Hashimoto's, MS. And it works as an anti-inflammatory because one of the main destructive elements of an autoimmune condition is inflammation. So if you can remove that, you can help the person. Hives, okay, which is inflammation. The problem is when you take prednisone more than 7 days, you actually suppress your own body's production of cortisol, okay? So it's kind of like a catch-22 because here you're taking it to create this anti-inflammatory effect, but the body then doesn't need to make it, so it goes into sleep mode. So the actual side effects of prednisone are basically shutting down your own adrenal system. And here are some symptoms: cataracts, bone loss, diabetes, which actually is interesting because the adrenal hormones are called glucocorticoids. Gluco referring to glucose because these hormones will turn your protein into glucose. And if you have too much glucose, you raise insulin, and you can even have diabetes as a side effect. And I actually have known of several patients who developed diabetes after getting a series of prednisone shots. And of course, weight gain, it'll make you fat, especially in the midsection. And adrenal atrophy, where the adrenal glands basically shrivel up and they stop working. So if you look at the adrenal glands down here, they're controlled by the pituitary, okay? And the pituitary hormone is controlled by the hypothalamus. So you have this entire pathway here, starting from the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal. It's called HPA axis. So the brain is telling the pituitary to send signals down to release adrenal hormones. And then we have a feedback loop going around here, turning this mechanism off. So when you take prednisone, you basically shut this whole thing off from this level, and so the adrenal glands just stop working. And so it's very dangerous to take prednisone for any period of time. Now, I personally had poison ivy every single year through my 20s and even partially into my 30s. Every single year I was in the backyard or something and I got poison ivy really bad. So I ended up having to take prednisone, okay, for many years. So it really created some serious damage on my own adrenals. I couldn't sleep, had chronic fatigue syndrome. I was constantly getting sick. I had massive blood sugar problems. But the cool thing is that there's an alternative, okay? A safe alternative, and it is called vitamin D3. I mean, if you think about it, vitamin D gets great results with asthma, allergies, all sorts of skin problems, eczema, psoriasis, and it's a great anti-inflammatory. And it's also very beneficial for autoimmune conditions, especially MS and hives. But if you think about it, vitamin D can actually give you almost the same results as prednisone. It's kind of like a weak version of prednisone. Why? Because vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a steroid hormone. Okay? It's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. It gives you therapeutic benefits at higher dosages. Unfortunately, the RDA is just way too low. And the RDAs for vitamin D are roughly, I think, around 600 IUs. When you go up with vitamin D3, and I'm talking like 30,000 IUs, you can create some really cool effects. I'm going to put some links down below so you can get more information and research this. But you would want to take 20 to 30,000 IUs of vitamin D3, as well as 300 micrograms of K2, and this will counter the calcium issue that can occur from higher amounts of D3, because D3 doesn't really tell the calcium where to go. It just increases the absorption of calcium into the blood by 20x. K2 will take that calcium and drive it into the bone. So if you've taken prednisone and now you're in a situation where you can't take it anymore because it's going to create too many side effects, you may want to check this out right here, vitamin D3. Thanks for watching. So if you want to get notified with all my content, click the notification bell next to subscribed.